A warm welcome, dear brothers and sisters, to another episode of Call to Serve. As you know, this is a program that looks at the life of a priest, his journey as a person trying to fulfill everything that the Lord called him for. And today we have with us Father Lijoy Kandat, who has actually passed through a very interesting journey. And with a lot of gladness, we welcome you to the program, Father.
Thank you.
Father, your vocation started very young as a little boy.
Yeah.
Can you please share with us this experience, Father?
To narrate my vocation story, maybe I'd like to begin citing few events that happened in my life as a young boy.
Sure, Father.
As a young boy, I was very thin and had a lot of inferiority complex, never wanted to appear before people.
Okay.
But wanted to do certain things. So I was growing, but I was good at studies. And then my auntie used to narrate me a lot of high stories, especially the stories of Saint Francis and Saint Clare, because she was an aspirant in a convent for some time.
Okay.
So I fell in love with those stories, and my house was close to the parish church. So I used to frequent every day for the masses. And most interesting thing was for me, every first Friday we used to have adoration in the parish church. And I really cherished those moments very much. And also I used to listen to homilies during feast time. Also during Lenten Sundays we used to have Way of the Cross and then homilies. And all those things inspired me a lot. But since I was very inferior, I never thought I would become a priest, but though I wanted to become. So I had this struggling from my childhood. And it happened to me while I was studying in 10th standard. My catechism teacher was a Capuchin brother.
Okay.
So he invited me for a day of camp there in one of the ashrams nearby. That was in Trichur, Calvary ashram.
Okay.
I went there. And while attending one day camp, somehow I heard a voice within me, this is what you seek, this is what you search. So from then onwards I began to pray because I wanted to be part of this life. But looking into my own self and my own life, I never thought I could gather enough energy for this or strength for all this. So I kept it secret, I never shared with anyone. And it went on like this, and I had a regular contact with this brother. And when I finished my 10th standard examination, he invited me for another camp, 5 days long camp.
Okay.
So I wanted to go, but still there was something that was pulling me back. So I was struggling, and it happened that the camp was kept immediately after my exams.
Okay.
But one of the exam question papers leaked out, and the final exam was postponed for another 15 days.
Okay.
So I was insanely happy because I had a reason for not going that side. But there was something I wanted to go, but at the same time not to go.
A struggle.
A real struggle was going. I was going through, and life went as usual. The exam was postponed. Then I went again back to play and other things. In an evening, I found two Capuchins at home. They came to catch me, in fact. They had posted another camp, and then they invited me for that. And I went. And there too, I had all this ill feeling towards me inside.
Confidence problem.
And we were almost 65 boys. And I found all of them with a lot of life, energy, playing, singing, going about. And I was observing from back. And I thought I can now become. But then, within that 5 days, I read two books. One was about the life of Saint Francis. The other one is about the life of Saint Maximilian Kolbe.
Okay.
Then the desire within me increased a lot. It was beyond my control. I wanted to, but I was quite sure I would never be selected. But it was a surprise for me when the father told me that you are selected.
Praise the Lord.
Then I came back home and informed my parents, and I joined the Capuchins.
And how many brothers and sisters are you, Father?
I have a brother, younger brother and a younger sister.
Okay, and was the family happy with your decision?
Sure, but in the beginning, when I informed my father I'd like to join the Capuchins, he said plainly, okay, it's your wish, it's your life, you can join. But then later, after maybe some 7 or 8 years, when my father was seriously sick with cancer, I was taking him to the hospital. Then he asked me, dear son, do you know what was the most painful event in my life? His life.
Okay.
Then I said, some of the family issues and things I explained him. Then he said no. Then I asked what? I was curious. Then he said, the moment you told me that you wanted to join the seminary.
Okay.
I was so sad, in the sense, I never knew my dad had such a struggle with that. He told me that I was the eldest one in the family, so he had a lot of dreams, a lot of plans about me, and everything crashed. But at the same time, it was will of God. Then he told me, go ahead with that.
And it was actually a struggle for him, isn't it?
Yeah, sure.
In
Much
some
more
ways.
than me.
Yeah,
at
and
that
he was
stage.
quietly taking it in. Is there any other incident that you'd like to share, Father?
Sure. It was in 2000. I did my regency.
Okay.
And we were sent to Gujarat.
Okay.
After the earthquake, we were there, and we were visiting the villages. And we used to gather people to listen to them and to learn from them a lot of their experience and all. So we went there as a part of Franciscan Family Union, and our mission was to prepare the ground to make houses for those people. It was a village called Nadappa in Bhuj.
Okay.
And while visiting the people and gathering the people, there was a man who never wanted to help the poor people and never wanted these poor people to receive any help from us. And then he narrated to us a story which we all have heard that. He told me there was a mice and it was afraid of cats.
Okay.
And the mice tried to pray to a sannyasi that make me a cat. And then sannyasi made the mice a cat. Afterwards, the cat was frightened of dogs. And it prayed to the sannyasi, make me a dog. And sannyasi did so. And the dog was frightened of a lion. And the dog prayed and it became a lion. And finally, when it became a lion, it ate the sannyasi. And this man told us that you shall not have these poor people, they would one day eat you all up. So it was really a shock for me how the society works maliciously in order to put down the poor, the struggling and the needy. And it was also a moment of, in other sense, an inspiration for me. Wherever I find these sort of things, injustice, brokenness, all those things, I get a sense of I feel that I should act now, or I should work for them.
Absolutely.
And it is so loving, and it is a core of my mission, I would say.
There isn't anyone to help them otherwise, if we are not there to reach out to help them. During that journey, Father, especially, as you said, you've already started with a struggle, and you very surely and very clearly are in because of a decision, of a calling from God, and you felt that calling. Were there times that you actually feel happy and you cherish and you feel delighted about, yes, this is the calling and this is what I was called for. I feel so happy and grateful to be here. Are there instances, are there things that you'd like to share with us, Father?
Sure, there are a number of times where I felt so happy, and I used to say, I am proud of my vocation.
Praise the Lord.
I take pride being a priest and religious. Because it's not by my merit, but it's purely a gift from the Lord.
Absolutely.
So it's not my strength, but it's the Lord's strength. And there are so many instances in my life, also with the people, also in the formation field, where I never thought I would be an instrument in the hand of Jesus, but where He made me His own.
Okay. We'll be really happy to hear some of them, Father. You can share with us,
One I would like to share from the formation field first, because I'm a formatter. One of my formee, he was struggling a lot before his ordination. And in fact, he wanted to go back. He was struggling. He had a few problems at home. Also, he was on personal difficulties. And he called me in an evening and told me, Father, I would like to leave. I can't continue this life. Then I asked him. He narrated all these problems. Then I called him to my place and asked him to stay with me at least 2-3 days. And that 3 days, we prayed a lot, shared a lot. And he was really strengthened and convinced of his vocation. And I felt so happy that I could help him to choose the best, or choose himself to be open before God's call.
Praise the Lord. So there are times as these that actually encourages and really delights you as a priest.
Sure. One was that while I was studying in Italy, I was managing with my own broken Italian, but I used to listen a lot to the people, and they loved to share a lot of things. And a family came to me that they were already separated and waiting for divorce from the civil authorities, staying in the same apartment but in different floors. They had 3 houses and 3 children they had. But they share a lot, but they had broken the covenant of marriage, and they found in a point of their life they couldn't go along. And they were struggling, and I spent nearly 2 days continuously listening to each of them, praying together with them. And finally they came and thanked me in a fine morning, Father, now we don't want to get separated, but we want to live together. So I cherish that moment very much, the joy of that family and the children.
So you actually have helped in the reformation of the family also, trying to get the family together and form them together to be that whole. That is so wonderful, Father. Life has, as you already have experienced, of, the crosses, the problems, the situations, the pains, the tragedies that we have to face, and God makes sure each of us have had to, each of us experience that path. In your life too, there must have been times where you were challenged, where you had to face difficulties, and we'd like to hear them, and we also want to know how you were able to conquer them, Father, how you were able to surpass them.
Okay, my first challenge, if I can recall back, it was when I was in the novitiate. When I joined the novitiate, we used to have a few sessions with the novice master, sharing, we call it as spiritual direction. And in the second spiritual direction session, he told me, brother, let us seek the possibilities and ways and means to accommodate you here. If not, let us try for something else. It was really shocking for me, because I never wanted to leave this life. I wanted to be a capuchin. I wanted to be a priest. And I never knew what he meant actually, and I never dared to ask him what he meant actually. But it was really a pain within me, a shock and pain, and I did not know what to do. The only thing I could do, or I knew what to do, was that I used to open the church in the middle of the night and sit in front of the Blessed Sacrament. And then somehow I gained strength, and it was really strength for me to continue. And meanwhile, something happened, something symbolic or miraculous. Close to my room, there was a huge rock behind my room, and there was a tree growing on that. And I found that tree was fully dry. There was no life left on, no leaves, nothing, and all white ends and everything on that. And while I was going through my spiritual struggles, I used to look at this tree, and I used to compare myself perched on a rock top, and no leaf, no life. And then I find one day a woodpecker comes in and starts knocking, pecking slowly. It makes a hole, and it started to stay in. And then to my surprise, I find after a few days, slowly new leaves sprouting.
How sweet, how nice.
And it was really inspiring me. And I found that I was going through the same struggle, and it made me to open my heart wide to the Lord.
That was so beautiful, no, Father? I mean, it's to actually witness before your eyes that a tree that was barren and broken and almost destroying is actually, coming back to life. And that must have been such an inspiration for you, something that you remember even now so fondly and with so much of happiness and joy. There must be also times where you were challenged as a priest, Father. Were there instances where you felt, your calling was challenged, maybe because of the situation at home? Or were there any times that you felt, the difficulties that come along the journey? If you can share any of those instances, it would be great, Father.
I would like to remember one such incident was when my dad became sick, when he was diagnosed with a cancer. I was not at home. I was abroad doing my studies, and I used to have only phone contacts. I was really struggling, and in a point I wanted to leave all that and be with my family. But then I got a sense that I am not called only for my family here. There are so many people around me, and there are many people who are in need and in struggle. They wanted to me. And it took almost 2 years to reconcile with my dad's sickness. I was really struggling with that. He had cancer, and I too had a lot of struggling with myself. Also, in my formation, I had a lot of difficulties with young boys. It's not an easy thing.
Yes, it is not.
Sometimes I feel fed up, and sometimes I feel it's enough and I'm going to quit this job. Because from my part, I wanted to be a model for them. And I, as a young priest and a young man, I too have got my own struggles. When I find people around with all luxury, pomp, and celebrations, I too feel challenged, feel sometimes tempted, so to say.
And how do you overcome that, Father? What makes you come back and say, no, I am a priest, I have been called? How do you, how do you fight yourself back into this and come back again?
I would say the best moment is the moment of Eucharistic celebration.
Yes, definitely.
And that is the only moment where I gather strength, where I find solutions, and where I am consoled, in fact.
Yes.
And whenever I have troubles and problems of this sort, I prefer to celebrate Mass alone. Not with any community, but to celebrate alone, where I can truly open my heart to the Lord, and where I gather true strength. So it's really Blessed Sacrament alone, nothing.
So alone, and as you celebrate the Mass there, the Holy Eucharist, you're actually making it around your situation and around your problem, and you find at the end of it, our Lord Himself lifting you up and consoling you and bringing you back into your calling and your purpose.
Surely, it's just like you share or you open your heart to your most trusted friend who understands, who needs you and who loves you much more than anything. So it's a personal relationship. I would say this Eucharistic celebration is a personal relationship.
Absolutely.
And that gives ample strength.
And you know our Lord is going to do what is best, what is the right thing for us, and He can see far ahead, and He has chosen you, and at this point He feels, and you feel that He is the one who's going to console you at that point. What is your hope, what is your vision for the church, Father?
My vision and my hope for my life and for the entire church, I would believe that to make Jesus present everywhere.
To make Him known.
Yes.
To make His presence known everywhere.
Everywhere. See, as a priest, I see myself and also my formies and the priest around the globe. I would say we should move, live and think like Jesus. We should dine with the poor. We should heal the sick, listen to the needy, and help them in their struggle. And let the world see that Jesus is still alive. Jesus is walking along with them. Jesus wants them.
That is wonderful, Father.
See, I got this inspiration from the famous book of Fulton Sheen. He has a book titled "A Priest is Not His Own." So the title itself, a priest is never for his own glorification,
Definitely.
or never for his own life satisfaction. But it has got a wider scope and much more than that we think.
He's God's instrument for all mankind, for all his children, for God's children. Father, there are many young people listening to our program, and we want you to explain to them on how they can discern. And I'm sure this is your very chosen and happy topic as well, because you are in formation, and you will understand the mind of the young, and as you already have explained, their distractions. If you can give your message for them, Father.
I would like to recall Jesus' disciples escaping to Emmaus. And this Emmaus experience is one of the best things that I used to share with my brothers. They escaped from one end to the other, not knowing that the Lord was with them. And the moments of prayer, especially the moments of breaking the word and breaking the bread, the Eucharist and the word. And when they are into the celebration of the word and to the celebration of the Eucharist, they experience the Lord. And we need situations, we need people to help the youngsters, because they are with immense potentiality and talents and with a lot of goodwill. They see always the positive and the most dynamic aspect of the reality. And though there are complaints or there are a lot of wailings that these days we don't have good vocations, I don't believe in that. There are so many people aspiring to follow Jesus. And we need to prepare them, and we need to make them present that Jesus is one of the companions.
Father, this has been really wonderful that we could spend time with you, and we could listen to the many challenges, many delights, and many chapters of your priesthood so far. We really thank God for this opportunity, for this chance that He has given to us, and we pray that your mission ahead will prosper, especially as you work with young people, and for many more to be touched by our Lord's presence, and for many more to be inspired to priesthood. Thank you for being with us, Father. Dear people, as you have just heard, Father Lijoy has been spending his time with the youth. He has understood the struggles of a youth. He knew that it is not easy to just accept a calling as it came, because there are so many issues that come in from inside that can come against God's calling. And with whatever he has learned, with whatever he has experienced, he has spent his life for the people, for the young children. We hope this program has inspired you. We hope you can pray for more youngsters, for more young people joining the vocation. We hope that you will pray for more priests tonight. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Thank you, and God bless you.